It's Tuesday evening, the last week of March, and what I have done today is got some materials. So there's 3 more pieces of plywood there, along with all the lumber in the vehicle, and then these 2x6s, and I've cleared off this whole platform up here in the loft of the woodshed / garage area. Put a lot of it over there. So I got enough plywood so this platform here is currently 3 sheets of plywood. So 4 by 8, 32, so that's like almost 100 square feet. And then I got enough plywood to double it, 3 more sheets. And so basically I'm going to extend the platform out towards that window. And then I'm going to extend the platform out towards this window. And potentially increase the size of the platform up to double, maybe even more than double, we'll see. Basically, the ceiling height at the highest part of the dome in there is tall enough for me to stand. So it's about 6 feet tall, maybe a little more in the highest part of the dome. One problem is that this platform has sagged because it wasn't properly, there wasn't enough support on the side with the 2x6. So the first step is going to be reinforcing that platform with another 2x6 along the side, if not a larger piece of dimensional lumber, and then reinforcing underneath. So instead of 2-foot spacing, I'll just have 1-foot spacing. And then I'll be extending the platform, getting plywood on the floor. But this is going to be probably a multi-week process, and this is just the start of it. I still got to get that cement mixer out of there. That one, the stand of it is a bit broken. And there's a cider press over there, another cement mixer over here, and I'm doing some maintenance on this cement mixer using this acid to try to help clean the cement out from in there. And we'll see how well that goes, because it's really heavy with all the cement that built up from the last season. Another cement mixer there. Got 3 cement mixers. So this is just the first stage of this project, cleaning the area out, and then I can start working on it. So steps 1 and 2 are complete. Step 1 being cleaning the area off, removing the temporary side supports, and adding a little reinforcement there. The first 2x6 wasn't long enough to span the whole length to the post, which is one of the things I'll get corrected. And then second step being adding the double floor joist supports, the 2x4s underneath. Those are all added. So the next step is straightening out the whole platform, because don't know if you can tell, but it kind of is like sagging in the middle, because all of this is just being held by 2, I think they're 12-foot 2x6s. So I'm going to double up the support on the sides, and when I do so, see what I can do about fixing that sag. And once I do that, I can start focusing on extending the platform. So it was Thursday morning, and I was able to finish step 3 yesterday. Got just about all of the sag out of this by adding another 2x6 along that whole length. And then on this side, added this recycled piece of particle board type lumber that I had gotten last season off of a job site that didn't need it. Did kind of a custom cut here so that it doesn't impede on the walk-through area. And then it's wide enough there to take the whole weight of the platform, as well as that straightening out that edge. So that's step 3, I suppose. And now step 4 is adding the framing to extend the platform to the other areas. So that's what I'm going to be working on today. So it's the end of Thursday. Got a piece of plywood on over there, and got a piece of plywood on over here. And it turns out, so here's a space here for another sheet. And then I got to do some additional framing down there on the tire wall, add a big window, and then kind of bump up that side wall and get as much room out of that as possible. I'm going to cut this corner to add a little triangle more of plywood there so that that bar is within the area. Then there's almost a full sheet there. And what I'm going to do is do like a steep little staircase right there in kind of that square opening. And then it's going to have like a trap door type thing that flips up to, so the door is going to be like a flip up onto that side door, kind of like that. And then I'm going to end up extending, I think, this wall all the way over to the cement. But that's kind of, I could just bring that wall straight up. But to maximize the space, it probably makes more sense to extend this floor all the way over to the edge. So that'll be another kind of custom frame job. And it looks like I'll need either two or three more sheets of plywood in order to get the floors all done. But that was some great progress for today. And also cut the post flush with a handsaw. And so it increased the floor space in here by about 2/3 today, up to just about 5 full sheets of plywood. And I'll have to get some more plywood to be able to finish and do quite a bit more custom framing. This thing is a little interesting. That pressure treated 2x6 is gonna end up getting cemented in to that pillar there. But currently it's just kind of like being held in place by straps. And yet I still like already have frame to it, so shouldn't move. And then yeah, over here is gonna be a little bit interesting as well to figure out that arch. And then my big plan is to make that big window there, to put it on a hinge so that big window can swing open. And that will be the way to get like bigger furniture in and out, will be to open the big window and then to be able to like take it in through there. Because otherwise the entryway is going to be really narrow right there. Narrow and steep. But this lofted area will have the arch there for light, the arch here for light, this arch for light, as well as this little skylight here. So it should be nice and bright. But there's a lot of more sort of custom carpentry to do to close it all off, but that's where we are now. So it's afternoon on Friday. I guess this is maybe the third day. And I decided instead of extending the floor, I was going to frame a short wall there. So I've got that framed. The corner is a tricky part, but basically I'm just about ready to put that plywood up after I cut it. So the end of day 3, this side wall, at least one piece is on. Just got to finish up that part there. And getting a little more framing done over there for that triangle. Running low on materials, but I can probably work one more day with the materials I've got before I've got to resupply. But that's all for today. Saturday morning, and I'm getting a start on stairs. I cut out the trapdoor feature, at least on the piece of plywood that's there, with a hinge in it, so that's flopped over. And I got the 2 end pieces cut. I'm just got to cut off the tips, and then I'll put in the 3 relatively steep stairs and connect it all. So the stairs are complete. Here's their first usage. We'll see if they fail. Alright. All good. And then I'll show you how this looks. The trap door, it's only got one hinge on it right now, so you can see. That's how the door will open when you want to go out. So it takes 2 to open right now because it doesn't have 2 hinges, but that's how it works. End of the day Saturday on this project. I guess it's day 5 on this project. I got a window in that arch, and enough framing in there to be able to apply plywood once I get more. And then I framed in the big box for a big recycled single pane window I've got from a friend who encouraged me to get off the side of the road several years ago. And it's been sitting over there ever since, just waiting for a place to go. And I'm gonna have to kind of like scrape the old cracked caulking off of it and recock it, but it's gonna fit in there. And then, so then I'll have to, this top area will end up being insulated, so I have to frame out that box from in here. So there'll be some kind of angle going up to it to maximize the light going in. And then this window, which is a recycled window I bought last year, is going to fit on top of that. So this is a double pane insulated window. I can squeeze it in right above that, so the loft will have that window, which opens, which will be really cool. It's not meant to go on its side, but if I give it a good kind of umbrella kind of flashing thing above, so it doesn't get too much water down in that little channel, then it should do all right. And I basically used up all the materials I have and figured out the line down there, which it's not really ideal to do a regular 2x4 down there. It'd be better to do pressure treated, but it's at least a regular 2x4 on top of some recycled Trex scraps. And so it'll be good enough. I'll just do some other work to try to keep it rather dry by shaping the earth and then like adding cement over those tires or flashing or some sort of work like that. So that was a lot of progress. It really gave me a really good idea of the shape on this side. And what I'm kind of thinking as far as design is that over there is where the bed is going to be. So the bed will be kind of like up in that area, and then we'll have the window. So I'm going to want to maximize the flat space in here and minimize the sloped space that separates the above from that window frame. It'll probably be roughly a 45-degree angle, if not even a little bit steeper, to push the flat space up here as close to that window as possible without cutting out too much of the light from below. And basically now I'm just gonna figure out what lumber I should get next time I go to the store, and then once I get that I can make a lot more progress. But a really successful day. It's a stick of butter cut up into little pieces. Nightshade, who's closest, got the first piece. Then she ran all the way down there, and at one point she lost the piece, and then there was a whole chain of them following her over there, and half of them didn't even realize where it came from in the first place. And now there's only a few of them that realize where the butter reserve is at, and all the other ones are missing out. And these chickens get all the butter. Nightshade was not very promising for a minute, chasing the other chicken who had one piece. I think it was actually Little Boogie right there, who's in the middle. Ended up getting it, unless it was Fudge, but I think it was Little Boogie. It ran all the way over there. Now these guys are starting to realize, hold on, what's all this? What's this situation here? Where's all this stuff coming from? Oh, there it is. It was an old stick of butter. At one point I had bought several pounds of butter because they were like half off. And they sat in the fridge for a long time. But it sat in the fridge for too long. And eventually started molding. Dino has finally realized the butter reserve. And there's Spot finally realized it too. I mean, Star. Spot was her mom. That's all the... There's Arthur. That's all the chicken updates, and that's all the butter. Up here on the shipping container, the project for today is replacing this panel that blew off this winter and fixing these brackets, or replacing them, the mounting brackets, and then getting this array from 6 back up to 9 panels by replacing this one and rewiring it, and we'll see how it goes. So it's all rewired and reconnected, and now I'm just going to go check the charge controller, make sure it's all working properly, and if so, then project complete. Back to 9 panels, almost 2,000 watts down here. Sunday, spent a little over $1,000 at Home Depot. Should be enough plywood to finish the project, plenty of lumber to finish the project. Got some paint for the ceiling and some other tools and stuff, and hopefully what I need to turn that window into a door. I didn't get the the floor material, because now I'm thinking I'm just going to do some cheap kind of floor in there versus not the epoxy, but I guess since I didn't get it, I can still decide. But I'm going to start unloading and then get to work for a half day. Good morning. It's Tuesday, and you can see in the distance, the grass is just starting to shoot up. And I got the framing over here largely done yesterday. Got this piece of plywood on. Today's going to be a big, busy day. The goal is to finish the floor over there, to get that kind of angle up to that window, and hopefully do the framing around that area, get the other window in, and get a J drip edge. I got 2 of these J drip edges, 1 for each arch. So I'm going to kind of custom cut them and then get them up in the top of the arch to drip the water away from the walls. So I'm also going to aim to get the plywood on those windows. On this wall here, I started these little side walls there, as well as getting that triangle in, and then I'm going to aim to get those 3 walls in there, as well as the floor in on that far section, and then completing this trapdoor thing with extra hinges, and then extending it to full length. And that is the goal. I've also decided to spray paint a lot of these ceiling things. Eventually I think I'm going to do the whole ceiling white. I'm thinking I'll keep those ones their native color. And then that's basically everything for right now. We'll see how it goes at the end of the day. So it's the end of the day, Tuesday, and this door is now complete. The horizontal door, or the, I don't know what you call it, horizontal plane door. The door into the ground, and the floor over there is done, and the floor over there is done. That was a really complicated piece over there. I didn't get that side done, and I didn't get this side done, so it wasn't nearly as productive as I was hoping. This door took quite a while, because there was a number of screws that were sticking up because of the length of screws I have and whatnot. So I had to do all sorts of custom stuff to line the edges and then support it so that when the door's down, it's nice and solid and you can walk on it and everything. Then it's got a handle here for when it's open to make it easy to open and close. So I didn't get quite as much done as I was hoping today, but the floors are all done, and we'll just kind of see what happens with the rain. I'm gonna work for a little longer and see if I can get maybe the plywood on that window section, but didn't get to the J channel, and didn't do that wall section or this wall section, but slow and steady progress nonetheless. This jigsaw is one of the new tools that I got at the last Home Depot trip, which made these cuts so much easier than they would have been otherwise, even though that one's not all that close, but pretty happy with that. I'm going to call it a day for now. I didn't want to screw them too much because I still want to try to squeeze those drip edges in there somehow. I'm still not exactly sure how I want to do that, but I guess this whole situation here is going to get a little bit wet in the rain, but at least having those few pieces of plywood on will keep a good bit of the water out so that it'll shed down to there. That's all for today. It's Thursday, and the snow just doesn't want to let go. The winter doesn't want to let go. So today, I am doing this sidewall. It's nice working in here. It's not too cold out of the weather. And then I'm going to do that sidewall over there. And those are my first 2 goals for the day. Imagine if this was your front door. Here you go. And instead of open it up, and you open up into this amazing loft area. Got that wall in. Working on this sidewall now. Close the door. We got the heaviest snow of the season in the last 2 days. Still coming down. A lot of it is melting pretty fast though, but it ended up being 14-16 inches of heavy snow. But I was able to finish this sidewall over here. So the next step is to do that sidewall. And it's been nice to have this area basically enclosed. That one's all done. And nice and dry up here. So right where I'm standing right now is where it's tallest. It's just over 6 feet. And then it gets the shortest over there. Figure there's going to be a couch along this wall. And basically once I finish all the walls and the plywood, that window I got to figure out how to reinforce the framing and put on a hinge. Once I get the walls and the windows on, then I will paint the ceiling in here white, so it just stays a little bit brighter. Check it out, the big old recycled window is in. This thing's all steel, super heavy, single pane, and all the paint is coming off, and the panes need to get recocked. I think a couple of them open, though it's kind of confusing and it's all rusted, so it needs a lot of work. But it's perfect for that lower space. And then you can see I got the first 2x3 in there at the angle. So you can see how this window will be framed out of the loft by a wall that follows the line of that 2x3. And then there'll be another window on top, that window, in the loft, which is the insulated one, and it opens. And so that'll be kind of like where the bed will most likely be. We'll have that window on the inside. And then I'm thinking where this trash can is will probably be the entryway. We'll have like a door right here. It'll be like a funky door other than the other kind of trapdoor entryway. Because this will probably get another kind of door. And I think I'm going to do like a whole cement archway in here at some point to reinforce that metal beam so that the metal beam doesn't sag. But that was really cool to get that in. And then I'm doing some more framing on this side, and then so I'm going to do all that and then get the other window in, and right now, and then plywood up this section. And right now I'm plywooding up this little side section. And that's the goal for today. So here in this window, it's really old, and you can see it's, though it's steel, it's in a rough shape for a lot of the seams, and one of the windows basically came all the way out, and because those top windows are going to be up in a corner, I decided to take all of them out, scrape all of the caulking out, which used some kind of crazy, like, hard to get out caulking. It was like maybe chalk mixed with glue, and it just bonded so well with the steel. But anyways, I finally got all of that out. I've cleaned off the window panes and then spray painted the steel, and I'm ready to put window panes back in. This is my first time kind of doing it like this, so hopefully it goes all right. Doing a bit of spring cleaning today, the day before the solstice. Cleaned out all sorts of stuff from the entry hall area, brought it down to the shipping container, and found lots of boxes and other stuff to burn, as well as brush piles. It's a very cathartic process of spring cleaning and spring burning. It is Monday, Eclipse Day. I got 3 panes on that window, but I accidentally cracked one of the panes. So I'm kind of like super gluing it, and I'm hoping it'll still work. before I put the final paint in, and then once I put the final paint in, I'll finish the framing on that kind of angled section. And I got some of this insulation that I'm gonna put into this wall, because this side wall and then that side wall, I started with the plywood on the outside. So I'm gonna put insulation in there and just insulate them right away, foam around the edges, so that I can put plywood on the inside. Which I might run out of plywood. I only have one full sheet and then some other scraps. But that will essentially finish those sections to get them all foamed in tight, have them all insulated, and it'll be a good way to make use of this kind of caul insulation panel I got from Home Depot. There's the eclipse. Wow. Kudo got into it. Thing is, it was him and Puff who are going to go on their wilderness expedition soon. Their survival challenge. His right eye can barely open. And I'm pretty sure he got into it with Art, who he just went inside the coop. But Art barely has any blood on him. But Kudo got it pretty good. But that also means he's not going to be going on his wilderness expedition until he heals. So him getting into a fight might have preserved his life for a while. Puff over there is the other one who is going to go on a wilderness expedition. But I don't like to put them out alone. So Puff's life might have been extended as well, because Kudo got into a brawl. Barely opened his eye. Hopefully you're alright there, Kudo. It is Tuesday evening. This is the last of the first 2 weeks of April, the end of the first half of April. So this side got the insulation foam in. I need to get another can of spray foam to get all the edges. But that'll be ready for plywood. And then that end there has all of the foam into the insulation in, and it's all foamed in, so that's ready for plywood. And I haven't gotten to that yet, but I'll show you outside now. So you can see up here how I cut this J channel into pieces to bend it around the whole edge and make it so that the water all runs off from the structure, and then it'll drip off rather than go down the edge of the cement or the wall or anything like that. So that one's done. And then over here on this one, the same thing. So this got the J channel kind of drip edge around this whole thing. It'll end up getting probably siliconed in between the J and the cement, but the foam fills the gap first. Then you cut the foam back and then add the silicone, and then it's kind of foamed on the other side. But that really protects that transition from the water. And then what I spent most of the day doing today was actually burning brush. So this area over here used to be totally filled with brush, a brush wall, but I'm cleaning it out, so I burned it all because I'm going to end up connecting a facade all the way over from the Citadel along the tire wall, and then along this whole edge, the edge of that tire wall structure, and then it's going to end up connecting over to here. But I'm not going to work on that until after the loft is done. But I did a whole bunch of burning on both sides and cleaning out this whole area while preserving this panel. It was some expert fire management, because that panel stayed in place while I burned on both sides of it, and then some of it got singed, but I kept adding water. So that really, for the first time, exposes all this. If you've been watching the channel for a while, I was thinking that the first project of last season was going to be to extend this tunnel here, which is the back side of that structure where the wood is. It's a little tunnel there. So I'm going to end up digging out this whole section here and extending this tunnel to go through to over there. So it's going to be a lot of dirt movement, and then that'll have a ferrocement arch over it. So this tunnel from that structure will extend all the way over to that area there, and then it'll have the facade going over it. And that's all in the weeks to come. Hopefully in the next 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks of April in the Elodium calendar, and certainly by May 1st of the Gregorian calendar, hopefully the loft will be all done and ready ready for resident. But that's the end of this video, which I'm gonna publish, I think, this evening.